What's going on, everybody? This is the Page and Pryce Show. I am your host, Chris Page, and couldn't do this one without the one and only Theo Pryce. What's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing, man. I'm doing. How about yourself?
Man, it seems like it's been a long road over the last several weeks. I had a cold that took me down for 3 or 4 days, and I actually thought it was COVID, but thank God it wasn't. Yeah, other than that, man, I've been on the grind in the Fed world, dude. It just seems like it's all over the place essentially. If you're me, uh, but it's getting there.
That's good. I mean, I do not have that same kind of craziness that you do because I'm the smart one and I just stick to one fucking place at a time.
Yeah, well, dude, let me tell you something. I had this was not last week. It was the week before. Um, I haven't gotten in over my head in a lot, or with a lot in a long time. For the first time, and probably since I've come back, I had to take a step back and be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like literally on the podcasting side, I think I dropped a show, almost a show every day. Uh, on the role play side, I was doing some stuff and still am doing some stuff in Sin City Wrestling. And then with the relaunch of the WGWF, I was like, God damn, like you need to slow the fuck down because I'm burning the I was burning the candles on both ends and didn't realize how tired it made me. Like I legit slept for 12 hours when I wrapped up all that.
Yeah, I mean, you're between just the e-fed stuff. Running a fed certainly is a job in and of itself. Role playing takes time, and then you're doing all these podcasts. It takes hour, 2 hours to record them, a few more hours to edit them. It's a lot. I don't honestly know how you do it, and I do not envy you for doing it.
You know, here's a fun fact. Here's a little secret because most of the shows are one take now, so I don't have to do a hell of a lot of editing. But that's our secret. Shh, don't tell nobody.
Don't
Um,
tell anyone.
Listen, we've had an interesting little couple weeks within the game. Obviously, there was a dust up several weeks back that caused a bunch of bullshit, and we had some super shows. Actually, as we're getting this show or doing this show, the Terra Phoenix show's coming up. And we, usually have a topic that we want to talk about, but for this particular program, man, I hit you up and I was like, man, let's just shoot the shit because we haven't done a program in I don't know a month, maybe just a little bit longer. But let's just sit back and have a conversation and just kind of talk about what's been going on over the past couple of weeks. And one of the first things that I do want to touch on is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre show that was being run by Strader that was canceled. Um, and being someone who's heavily involved in the super shows and on the super show circuit, as I call it, whether it be role playing or putting shows together, and you as well, because a lot of the super shows, at least up until here, and I don't know what you're doing with Tara's show, but you've been very hands on with them behind the scenes, doing the work that a lot of people don't want to do, as far as reading all the role plays and kind of figuring out winners and losers and all that stuff. So, needless to say, like you've got your hands in the pie too. So when this came down earlier this week that the show was being canceled, it was being canceled because role players weren't, I guess it was a day before deadline and nobody had posted anything yet. Um, I think that it's something worth talking about because as these super shows become more and more of a thing, like there's always uh, a hard on for the results. Well, there also I feel like we also there also needs to be a hard on for the role playing. And like I told Dre privately, our game is 95% of it's filled with people who post at the last minute for whatever reason. That's their prerogative to do so. But I do think that maybe the plug might have been pulled a little too soon. But knowing that you get most of your influx the day of deadline, that I think that show probably still had some legs on it.
Yeah, I mean, without having talked to Strader, or really knowing anything other than what you just shared with me. I mean, you're right in that 95% of the people who role play do wait to the last minute. And I think a lot of feds have rules in place because that happens, whether it's you can't post more than one on the last day, or there has to be, time in between posts, or whatever it is. XWF has its soft deadline and its hard deadline. So I think most feds recognize that that is very much a thing, that people wait to the last minute for whatever reason. It drives me up a wall, but it's, I'm not the one doing the work to write them. So, what do I know? But it does make it harder to put shows together when you're waiting for that stuff. And I know people, there's two schools of thought. It's, write it, get it done and out of the way so you don't have to worry about the results on the day of. And I get that. But then there's that other school of, well, why am I going to bust my ass to write this match if it's possible these folks don't even role play for it? So, like, I'm wasting my time there. I don't know if there's a right or wrong way to go about that. I can make a case for both. But yeah, it's very clear that people wait to the last minute for whatever reason. So I don't want to say that the show could have gone on, or that the wrong decision was made, because it's not my decision to make. I wasn't doing any work for that show. But I do think, as a general FYI, if you're going to do a super show, understand that the role plays are going to come in super late. So either figure out a way to have the show be put together knowing that. Either it's, I think some shows have done something where, like, the deadline is one day and, we don't drop results for a week, so that we have time to put stuff together and move things around if people don't show. I think that's probably a really solid solution for how to do that. If you don't want the results to come out right after the deadline. If you don't want to do that, then figure something else out that does work for you. But yeah, I mean, I've been involved in several super shows, and I've kind of seen that they all kind of go the same way that, I think regular Fed shows do, and that people, they drop their deadline. You get more deadline or more role plays on the last day than you will the week or 2 weeks prior of whatever the cycle, whatever it is.
For sure, I think, and again, I have no issue with Dre. I think everybody makes the decision that's best for them, and if he felt like that it was time to pull the plug on it, that's cool, I have no problem with that. I just think that going into a super show as a booker and putting on the show, it's a risk either way. You want to put together the best product possible, but you always have that in the back of your head. Like, you need to know coming in, there's a chance that this could happen, where you get people who do not show up for the match or don't show up at all. Don't reach out. Don't I mean it can happen. It happened with the Cannabis Cup with a couple people. But I do think I think that we owe the benefit of the doubt, right? And I also think, again, that, like, if you're going to come in and we're going to be putting on the shows, we have to understand that it's a calculated risk, right? Obviously, everybody who puts on a super show wants their show to be top notch, wants to put on the best matches, wants to put up the best product, and you get passionate about it. I mean, Theo, you were with me with the Cannabis Cup. When did I start pre-writing that son of a bitch? 2 months out?
Yeah, I mean, it was actually far sooner than I think most people would, which, I think worked out well for you.
I,
But again, I wasn't the one doing the work. So I mean, at the end of the day, like, the show got canceled, and I guess most people hadn't role played. So, like, you may think, well, but so nobody role played, so it's not like time was wasted. Well, I mean, I'm sure there are lots of conversations that had in the weeks, months leading up to it that now kind of is time wasted, so to speak. So I get people being frustrated. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to want to host a super show and you've had to cancel one, I think it's going to be hard to get people to kind of get on board the next time around. But I mean, anything's possible. I've seen VD do work before in other places, and I know they're capable of doing great stuff. So, hopefully, this is just kind of a one-off, and if they have the motivation to do another one down the road, that they're able to do so, and it's awesome.
I hope that it hadn't soured his overall experience. I
Yeah.
know that he said that in a tweet that was sent out that he's not going to do anything like this ever again. And I hope that changes because I think, again, we've been in some of the same places where Dre has been calling, not necessarily calling shots, but has been doing a lot of the legwork. Thunder Pro Wrestling, I'll just call it like it is. Uh, so I know the guy's capable of putting together a pretty solid program. And hopefully, this isn't a soured experience, like I said, and he can move forward and try to do this again next year. I know that with him, it was more about wanting to put together this big Halloween style show. He had all this stuff in mind, and it just didn't come through for him this time. But that doesn't mean that it can't happen next time. And to the writers out there, if you elect to take part in a program, communicate. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. Send a message. And shit happens, right? Like people forget. I do think piggybacking off of something that you had just said, revolving around deadlines and stuff of that nature. Speaking for the Cup's perspective, like I had two deadlines for the tournament itself, and both of those deadlines were. I think the last deadline was 2 weeks before the show was scheduled to come out. But I knew it would be a huge undertaking. A lot of people won't need that much prep time to get their shows done and get their programs done. I do because I'm just an old fuck and only do this so many hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, I think Denzel had a really solid, like when he did his last year, he had a really solid team of people that helped him. Whether it was match writing, judging, whatever. So, I don't know what V's structure was. I mean, if he was trying to do it all on himself, I mean, that's a lot. And I would hope anybody who's doing a super show enlists other people in the community, because trying to do it by yourself, honestly, it sounds like fucking torture. Like I would never, ever volunteer to do something like that. I will certainly help anyone who wants it, as I have, but I would never want to try and shoulder all that by yourself, because that's a lot. It's not the same as running a pay per view or a big show in one fed. I mean, there's so much communication and back and forth that has to take place for this kind of thing, because you're pulling people in from so many different places and so many moving parts. It is a lot for anyone who's considering wanting to do a super show. I would recommend, if that's something you think you're interested in, talk to people like Chris or Denzel or Tara, some of the people who have run successful ones, and get their thoughts on it, and bend their ear and learn, and see if it really is something you're thinking about doing, or maybe it's more work than you think it is really involved.
The pressure is real. I will say that it's a nail biter. And speaking of Tara, first of all, again, shout out Dre. I appreciate your attempt, and I know that you'll be able to pull that together at some point. Um, Tara Phoenix has got her second annual. Well, I guess we'll call it an annual thing at this point. She's got her second Super Show coming up this weekend of this recording, guys. For clarity purposes, we're doing this on the 26th of October. Um, she's bumped it from 3 nights to 4 nights and had quite the turnout. And again, it's like somebody touched on a minute ago, or off air rather. I mean, I think Tara had 37 of 40 people show up, and coincidentally, 90% of those were probably deadline day. Uh, but she's on the cusp of a 4 day event this go around with bukus of matches from all over the spectrum. It's good to see, and I've made no bones that I believe that Tara's the one that started it all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to argue that point, or at least certainly from my perspective, because Tara's was my first kind of involvement with super shows, and I wasn't heavily involved. I think it was just judging some matches. I think that's what I did. and like a segment or two here or there. But that was my first kind of foray into it, and there have certainly been several since then. Um, yeah, I mean, it was the charity cruise was pretty awesome last year, and I was glad to see it because it kind of kicked off what I think is going to be a time in this game where we're going to see a lot of super shows from people.
I think it's going to happen as well. And really and truly, that's probably the next evolution of the game. Is there you'll get a Fed that'll pop up quarterly, and just do super shows. I feel like that's something that will happen. Um, this year, Tara's show, she always highlights the elimination style tag match, which you and I are both uh, firm believers in tag team role playing because collaborative stories are the best, and that's not even a debate at this point, at least for me.
Right.
Uh, you got Team Corey Black taking on Team Page, which there's representation from Action Wrestling, and there's representation from WGWF, from the XWF, and freelance, really and truly. Something that and you call me crazy if you want to, when I was asked to put together a team, um, I had an original five that I set to do, and one of my guys had to back out, but it opened up a slot, and I feel like the Super Show aspect, this why plugging this person in, and I want to give them a shout out, is exactly why the Super Shows happen. Is because it allows your work to be seen by people who may not have ever seen it before, or if they have seen it, they haven't seen it in a while. And that was Xavier Lux, the handler of that guy. Being able to get him involved with Sebastian Bryce and Peter Vaughn and Mark Flynn and Lux and James Raven and Corey Black and C.J. Phoenix, Spencer Adams, Jill and Regan. They, there's 10 pieces of talent right there that probably a handful of them may have worked with each other before. And then on the other side of that, have never worked with each other before. So it's your work being introduced to different eyes and different people. And Xavier Lux getting that spot, I think he's well worth it. Number one, and who better to display the work of than someone that you really and truly people may not even know. And side note, I say that to say, like, when the results come out and people see the show, you're gonna understand why he's a hidden fucking gem.
Yeah, he's a good writer, and I'm glad that he's involved with this. I mean, I know he's had some struggles in XWF, which I think speaks more to the talent that's there and not him specifically, because I do think he's a good writer. I've read a lot of his stuff, um, and it I've always been impressed with it. I think he's a pretty fundamentally sound writer. So I think this is a great opportunity for him to show everyone what he's capable of, and for people who are not familiar with his work, a chance to see what he can do. And I mean, I agree with you. I think that is kind of one of the best parts about these shows is the exposure to people you aren't familiar with. Whether it's just reading the work or getting to work with people that you've never worked with or against, like there's dream match possibilities or whatever. There's a lot of positive things to come out of these super shows, which is why I'm so excited to see them, hopefully expand and continue to grow, and each one being better than the last.
I don't see where that can't happen. I mean, you know me, I'm a big picture guy. Somebody gives me an idea, I'm like, ooh, well, we can do this. Let me sprinkle a little CCP dust on this, and let's blow this up to a bigger situation. That's kind of what's happening with super shows. I'm working with Tara on her program, Denzel as well, and they worked with me on mine. We were kind of partnering up together because collectively, and then throw NTIA promotions as well. He's got his World Series of Wrestling going on right now, and I believe they're going to cut the field to 34 this week, if I'm not mistaken. or it may have already been done by the time this show comes out. But we're all kind of like-minded people in the game, and know that if it's easier to work with people than work solo. And we've already shown that, excuse me, that we can put a program together and get it out and it be good, not just something slapped together. And I know that, and I'm not trying to stroke my own dick by any means, but because I am involved in this little four-way of creativity, I think that should put a lot of people's mind at ease. Like Denzel's already announced DPI number two. Not only has he already announced it, there's already matches that are being put together behind the scenes, and some of them have already blown my mind.
Yeah, I've Denzel has mentioned a couple of the matches to me and some of the folks booked on the show, and it is as good as the first one is last year or was, excuse me. This one is certainly shaping up to be even better, which is truly a testament to the work he put in and the success that first one is, but also the other people involved, those wanting to have those great matches on that platform. I'm really excited for XWF to host it again, and for me to do whatever he needs out of me. I felt like it went well last year, and I'm glad that we have the opportunity to help out again this year.
It went well all the way till the main event of night three, and even that match went well until about the last 3 seconds. But who's counting? Uh,
Yeah, we don't need to relive the past. Yeah.
yeah, in character, I think my jaw almost got kicked out of my face, or removed from my face. Somebody on this call tried to kill me. Theo.
You know what? I hadn't wrestled in a while. I had a lot of pent up anger I needed to get out.
Well, it happened. But that's just it. Like, I mean, going back to it, these super shows, they have the if done right and done correctly, it's not about who's putting it on. It's always about who's performing on them, because that's what it is, right? It's a performance. We're showing up. We're writing. We're doing whatever we have to do to sell whatever we have to sell, and most of them usually come out, greener on the other side, and all kinds of character development. We don't even have to fucking talk about that. That you rub shoulders with just random people, and you've got a story. You got a role play just off of a conversation. It's good stuff the whole way around. And I didn't mean to go off on like a super show rant or tangent by any means, but it was on my mind, and I'm like, well, let's talk about it. That's kind of why we're here. And if it involves the game, then it's involving a conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, you know we're free forming this one, so whatever comes out of your mouth, we'll run with.
Yeah, I have no fucks about this one today. I'm just glad that we're able to record again. It's literally been a hot minute. We were gonna do it last weekend. Of course, I was sick, uh, and then I think the week before, kids or you something happened. You didn't have time, or I don't fucking know. But being able to get back in and just talk to you, because it's been a minute.
Yeah, it has. I mean, how are things going with the relaunch of WGWF?
I mean, so far so good. We, as of this show, just wrapped our third show, uh, and bigger things are on the horizon storyline wise. The handlers haven't had a whole lot of issues, and even there's not a whole lot of drama. I can tell you that, and that's always a good thing. But I'm gonna count my blessings on that, because as a Fed head, that can change tomorrow morning, uh, or tonight for that matter. Who knows? Um, we're still getting people, coming in wanting to try it out, and like just like with any Fed, it's a good fit for some. It may not be for others, and we can talk about that. And we can have that conversation. Raven's great. We've kind of really taken the helm creative wise, and trying to put out the best product that we can put out, while still having fun with it. I think the big thing for us is uh, our match structure and our match writing. Uh, It was a situation. I'm gonna give his. I'm not gonna put his business out, but Raven had a family situation and had to step away quickly. But with our structure, like it was a pain in the nuts, and I was bitching about it while I was having to do it. But I put a show together in 2 days. Matches wise, there was 5 matches, but again, 12 to 1,800 word matches, per match. It's not difficult to do. But it's getting there. I feel the creativity amongst the roster is there. There's a lot of collaboration going on, which I'm telling you, I was shocked to see that so quick. I thought it would be a matter of, it would be a little bit of time before some people would collab and want to collab stories. But I got guys coming to me saying, "Hey, can we do this?" Well, fucking right, you can. That's two people less I got to worry about. When do you start and when do you finish? What's your pitch me your idea, and let me hear it. And just as well as anybody else, somebody comes to you with creative, you're either that'll work, or hey, what about maybe throwing this in there, or just think about maybe going this direction with it. But there's a classic example. That's somebody that wanted to do a 2 show angle, and when they pitched the angle, there was a lot of moving parts for 2 shows. I was like, Is there a reason why you want it done in two? And they, well, I just didn't know what else you had going on. And I'm like, no, bro, no. Let's do this. Let's take this piece of it, and let's stretch that, because here's how you can get here, and if this is your end game, you can easily pivot this way to get another week out of it. And it's not uh, like I'm trying to extend anything by any means, or force something that's not there. But it has the angle had legs. I was like, you can make this a fucking 4 show deal. That's a 2 month angle, the 2 month story, and get a bigger payoff out of it. And dude was like, I didn't think about it like that. Well, now you have. So what do you want to do? You want to do this in 2 shows? Or you want to do this in 4 shows? Let's do it in 4. Smart man.
Yeah, I mean, it's great when people come, ready made with ideas, and a lot of times, they can work as proposed. Sometimes it's, you have a little back and forth discussion. I mean, I don't know that I've ever just flat out got someone's idea down, unless it's one of those, hey, I'm new, I want a title shot kind of things. But most of the time, if people come to me and they have an idea that they want to propose, or a storyline they want to work, I'm all for it, and I'm happy to, have those conversations like you just kind of outlined there, where it's seeing how we can maximize the idea,
Yeah.
whether that's spacing it out or involving other things, whatever it is. I mean, if you come to me with something, that's great, because that's, like you said, it's one less person or two less people, I guess, in this case, that you have to try and find something for them to do. Um, so and I encourage everyone to try and find their own dance partner. Work with people that interest you, people whose work you dig, or people who you think you would flow well with, and take it from there. Make the magic happen.
Here's what you never know about that, and this is why I'm so glad we freelance this show, because you just said something that I want to, throw a little context to. You never know where a story with somebody will take you, right? Like, I want to point out, like, Thad Duke. I think Thad's one of the all-time great long-term storyline guys that I've ever worked with. There's a short list and he's on it. We did that deal in the X Dub. It wasn't supposed to turn into a long drawn out storyline, but it did, because it organically grew. And it wasn't like it was pre-planned, like, oh, we're gonna go fucking 6 months, and we're gonna trade the TV and the tags, and the uni's gonna get involved, and other, like, there was a lot of intangibles that was along the way that made it organic. But it never would have happened if I didn't answer that DM from him, and he was like, "Hey, I don't want this belt right this second. Can we work a way to get it off of me without me taking a pin?" Yeah, and that led to the ladder match that we did. And then hey, all right, so you didn't take a pin here. How can I get you this win back, and me get the same thing, and then we can go to a blow off and do something bigger. and the Relentless match came about, and that was like the DQ finish. And what was the next logical step? Hey, do you want to challenge for the tag title? Robert and I had the belts. Do you want to, like, we can incorporate the tag belts? Like, I don't, if we go back to a singles, which we could, uh, but with the pay per view and the stuff that was going on there, the uni was on the line in the main event, in a battle royal. Duke was underneath with Duke and Doc. He had got Doc to come back for the match with me and Maine. The tag titles got involved. I was in the main event. Duke was in the main event. You know, it organically grew. Ultimately, what I'm saying is, you never know where that story can go if you sit there and you put your mind to it and you really collaborate with the other person involved. It's that you just took me off on another tangent. I'm sorry.
No, I like I said, that's what we're doing here. We're just kind of going for it. But I mean, you're right. Yeah. You know, when you start a program, I mean, you know, you can certainly have your idea of what you think your end game is, and sometimes it goes exactly according to plan, and a lot of times it doesn't. So you know, having that ability to kind of adjust as you need to, and be flexible, I think is extremely important. You know, as you just outlined right there, you know, what you guys had originally planned for how it was going to end and how it eventually ended were two completely different things, and I doubt it's possible that what you originally had would have ever been as good as what eventually came about. You know, and I think that's a testament to you know, both of you guys and your visions for e-fetting and long term storytelling.
It was just incredible, and it's one of those. He's one of those guys that when it comes down to like the collaborative efforts and working with somebody, he's somebody that I've always had a good time with, and didn't expect to, mind you. My conversation out of character with Thad started with him apologizing to me, and I said, "For what?" I mean, it's probably gonna come out that I talk some mad shit about you at such and such time, and this is what was going on, and yada yada yada. Okay, man. Well, do you live in such and such time? Because I don't, and last time I checked, we're not there. That's how our conversation started, and it's just,
Yeah, I mean I mean that is, you know, it's interesting because I didn't really realize that that's kind of what spawned, or if I did, I forgot what spawned your kind of your long story. But yeah, I mean that's kind of impressive when you think about it. Um,
I
but
mean
yeah,
that
I mean, you know,
uh,
what you guys did was some truly awesome stuff.
what spawned it was simple. He didn't want the TV title because he didn't want to work on Saturdays. He wanted the unlimited word cap, and I think he went over on TK. So we worked away to get the belt off of him, and then I gave him his win back, and then he beat us for the tag titles. And then he ended up winning that uni, and then I fucking took that bitch from him and didn't look back. That's there it is. It was a lot of fun. Uh, he's a hell of a guy to work with. Let me ask you this: give me like a, you know, back in the day when you were competitively writing, like talk to me about somebody that you had that kind of chemistry with, that you were just like, yeah, this is gold, and I don't know where the fuck it came from, but it's here.
Yeah, so I mean, there were a couple people that I really had a lot of fun writing with. And it's oftentimes it's the same people that I end up working with, either with different characters or just kind of going back and forth. But you know, someone like John Samuels, his character and Theo's just kind of played really well off each other. Made for some really fun, entertaining, comedy based kind of writing. Gator is another one where I had a character that was a mute. He didn't speak at all. He had a crow that followed him around, and Gator came up with this brilliant idea of having Gator act like he could understand crow speak, whatever the fuck that is. Whenever the crow would make noises, Gator, you know, his character would talk and say he was interpreting what the crow was saying, and it's not something that we had thought about at a time. It's something he kind of threw out there, and it works because it was funny as hell. You know, so him and I have worked together with several different characters over the years. Always had a lot of fun. There was a guy named Luca who handled many, many different characters in the XWF, and we worked together on lots of different projects. Usually, what we were doing was typically comedy based because I think it's worked him and I kind of flowed really well doing that kind of stuff. Robert Maine was another one. With his character and Drew Argyle, we did a lot of fun stuff together. So I mean, overall, I mean, I'm pretty easy to work with. I'm not the kind of guy who cares if my character gets the shine or not. So as long as I can tell a fun story, one that has a purpose to it, and if that purpose is even as simple as, well, we just want to get this guy over, I'm all for it. Just let me do my thing, and we'll make it fun. But at the end of the day, I am all for doing anything that helps other people out. And if somebody needs to use me or my character or whatever as a stepping stone or as a foil or as a part, whatever it may be, like, I'm all for it. Just let's have some fun.
Ultimately, that's what the game's supposed to be about. Is having fun. I think there's a lot of folks out there that have lost focus of that, and that's a shame at times. But ultimately, we all got involved in this because we wanted to have fun. This is our idea of fun. Um, nerds telling stories. So that's what I call us, because that's what we are. We're nerds telling stories to entertain us. Um, there have
Yeah, I
been.
mean, you're right, and
Go ahead.
it's I don't want to tell people what their version of fun should be. Um, you know, because it's certainly different for some people. Fun is winning all the time. I get that. I mean, that's not my version, but that's what it is for other people, and that's cool. You do you. But at the end of the day, I mean, you know, just go out there, have fun, tell your stories. Do whatever. I mean, this game is supposed to be an escape for people, right? It's not necessarily supposed to be something that adds stress to your life or drama or whatever. So go out there and do whatever it is that is fun for you, as long as you're not, you know, infringing on other people and their fun.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's just this game. It's so weird, and it brings people together. It brings out the best of people. Sometimes it brings out the worst of people. I think at this point, I can't speak for anybody but myself. I don't. I try not to hold too much of a candle to that I don't want to see. I just don't see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, it's good though. It's the game keeps evolving. It's brings people together and it keeps people together. Um, you're talking on touching on some of the names from the fast, and I was cruising the XDub boards the other day, and I saw a name there that raised an eyebrow because it's one that I hadn't seen in a long time. By a long time, I mean like 2013, 2014, 2012 ish. I saw a Madison Jr. on the board. Is that a character of one Madison?
It is. It is handled by the same guy who handled John Madison, who was the first character that Theo ever really worked with. So in character, out of character, I owe a lot of my success to that handler. He kind of took me under his wing and showed me the ropes in the XWF, both, as an active competitor, but then on the staff side as well. So yeah, that character is very much uh, John Madison Jr. And he's only done one or two role plays. I can't remember. I think maybe only has one. But I'm interested to see how he writes his character and how he involves, the John Madison character that I know, and what that character's relationship is with his kid. I'm very excited to see how he does that, because he's a fantastic writer. One of the best I've ever worked with. Now, I will say not a lot, but some of the stuff that he wrote back in the day is not stuff that you can write these days. It's not stuff that's going to fly. Um, so I'll be curious to see if he can make that adjustment. I think he can, because he's an extremely talented writer. He isn't the kind of writer who wrote the things that he wrote because he couldn't do better or was just going for the cheap pops. I think it was just he was doing it just for fun. fooling around. But he is capable of doing a lot of really great work, and so I am excited to see how that goes. Assuming he sticks with it, one of his things has always been kind of motivation. He has like me in ways in that I have ideas kind of flowing out my ass, but sit down and want to actually write is not something I'm interested in doing. And I think for him, sometimes that's the case. So I'm hoping he sticks it out because I am really intrigued to see what he can come up with.
I saw that and I was like, I never talked to the guy. I know that he was around when I exited as Slater. He had just started to work his way up the card. And I knew that when I left, he went on and left a pretty powerful legacy. So I didn't get a chance to see that. But when I saw the junior, I went, I bet you. I mean, it's got to be. Uh, so you know, I'm reading. I'm trying to see what the hype's about. Uh, and get him figured out because he's a guy from again blast from the past and you know nobody I don't think was politically correct 10, 12, 13 years ago. So to see him back in the game now is always a plus. And I'm curious. I saw that and I went, yep. That motherfucker, I don't know how they got him, but they got him back. And if he's as powerful now as he was back then, look out, roster, because he is a powerhouse.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't do anything. He just kind of came to us today. I want to make a comeback, you know, and then this is the character he came up with. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see where this goes and how he does with it.
What else has been going on XWF wise? I know you guys got Bad Medicine coming up at some point, right? Like in November, December.
End of November at Medicine. So we have a warfare this week. We have a savage this week. I think we have an anarchy coming up, and I think one more madness before, and then one savage, one warfare before the pay per view. So we're kind of getting up against it. Bad Medicine is our last pay per view of the year. We don't do anything too big in December because with holidays and stuff, December is usually one of our slower months. But yeah, I mean, we got some interesting stuff going on for Bad Medicine. Some of which has kind of been alluded to in segments, and some of which is not. But I'm the one big thing I can talk about is Mark Flynn will be defending his title, assuming he still has it, against Michael Graves. And Graves is a guy who's been around for a while, and I don't believe he's had a program with the Uni Champ. I mean, he's done a lot of great work with a lot of different characters. Vita Valentine is a really important character in the XWF and has been for a bit. Um, you've got Miss Fury, did a lot of great stuff with that character, some really fantastic role plays. Michael Graves, he's had a lot of interesting storylines over the years. So I'm kind of, I'm really excited to see how he, takes this opportunity and what he does with it. Him and Graves, or I'm sorry, him and Flynn are two guys that have, I think, similar mindsets into how they approach the game and their characters and how they like to tell stories and that kind of back and forth collaboration. So I think it's a really good pairing for the two of them to kind of bounce ideas off each other and make a really fun program. So I'm really excited to see how it ends. I've been excited and enjoyed what's happened so far with segments and back and forth stuff on Twitter, on the boards, etc. But that's a program that I'm really looking forward to seeing how that kind of wraps up at Bad Medicine.
Graves, shout out to Gravy. He didn't he get a shot at Keto when Keto had your belt? And if I'm not mistaken,
He may have. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's had a title shot here or there, but I don't know that he's
I
ever been in a situation where he's been running in a actual full fledged program.
no, I don't know that. I think they had a one off, and I think Graves got real close to knocking him off. I could be mistaken. I remember.
My
Uh,
memory is not what it was, so you are entirely
that was literally the last championship match I booked GM in Warfare. So
okay.
that's why I remember it because that was the last match I booked. I went that was it because it was between him and Charlie, and I can't remember if I had the conversation with you or if I had it with Vinny, but I was like, Charlie's just had this, and this. Graves at that point had just knocked off Scent, and I was like, Scent was a fucking legend, and Graves just beat him on Anarchy or not Anarchy on Savage, so I would rather give him the shot. It was a random. It was on a Warfare. Uh, but yeah. So that happened, and I remember I was reading the role plays that cycle. He did a really good job. Graves is real underrated as a writer, personally. If
I
you
agree.
if you ask me,
Yeah, I mean, I think he does so much goofy shit that I don't think people necessarily realize. Like, there is a lot of talent there. Like, he is capable of doing more than just like outside the box crazy. Um, so yeah, I do think that he is by and large, one of our more under appreciated writers. Certainly not as a handler, though. I mean, we have nothing but positive things to say about him as a handler. Um, but yeah, I don't think people necessarily realize how good of a writer he is.
and talking about Mark Flynn for a second, that guy's had a goddamn year. he
Yeah,
came back to the game a little over a year ago, and something that privately that Thad and I had talked about with Flynn is nobody knows how good he really is because they aren't watching. And he wasn't on Twitter at that point, so he wasn't. You just didn't know unless you knew. I made a bet with Duke. I was like, when we were booking the cup, and Mark agreed to take part in it, in the tournament. I went, you realize, and this is in February of last year or earlier this year. I was like, when this show comes around, and they see the role plays, that Flynn is going to be exposed to more people, and that's ultimately like that's why that shit was built, like for characters to be able to use that platform to get eyes on their work. And he fucking blew up, dude. He not only did he win the cup, he turned around and had a hell of a tag run with North Korean war criminal over in XWF. Pure comedic fucking genius as far as writing is concerned. And has ended up winning the uni off of Keto at the biggest show of the year, and now he's looking to close out the year. He's had one fucking unbelievable run.
yeah. I mean, there are a few people in this game that I enjoy reading more than Flynn. So when he did make his comeback, I mean, I can't even tell you how excited I was. He was around when I first showed up. Um, but that was kind of towards the end of that run. Most of his big stuff kind of occurred before I got there, but I was fortunate enough to work with him a little bit when I first got here, and I just loved his stuff from the very beginning. So when he did come back, I was super excited, and this is certainly the longest that he has been around in one kind of continuous um, appearance, and he's just I mean, he has for those of us fortunate enough to know what he had done previously, he has not let us down. And for those of us those who did not know what he is capable of, I am sure he has, turned a lot of heads and put his name out there as one of the very best in the game.
Yeah, that some bitch got me on a briefcase for the world title in XWF.
Yeah, and I mean, and not only that, he's a really good dude. And if you live in the Texas area and ever want to go and see his stand up, I recommend you do because he's fucking hilarious. His name's Wes Corwin. I know he would not have a problem with me throwing that out there because he's a professional and he's trying to get people to show up to his shows. Wes Corwin, he does comedy in like the Houston area, I believe, Texas, out in there. So give him a look. Go to his stuff. And if you're going to heckle him, please don't throw my name out there because that would just be fucked up.
No, actually, do throw your name out there. So you heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
He's down. He's a tremendous guy, all the way around. I remember I got to see Flynn um, before Flynn was Flynn. Like when I was dealing with him way back in the day, he had not honed in on his character. And to fast forward now, almost 10 years later, and to see what he has become as far as a writer is concerned is just it's great. It's good shit. He's doing stuff with me in the WGWF too. He's one of those guys that I know when I put him on the card, he's gonna show up and he's gonna show up to fucking potential.
Yeah, he will not ever let you down.
He's just he's one of those cats, man. He's that guy. We got what else we got going on out here in the EFED world? I know talked about the World Series, talked about Terra Phoenix, just kind of bullshitted around about collaborative stuff. Um, DPI, obviously, we talked about that too briefly. Um, I don't know, man. Outside of the only thing I can think of is announcing WGWF's first pay per view is going to be on January the 2nd. We're bringing back the West Coast Rumble, which should be a good one.
Second. Oh man, I hope people aren't still hungover. That could
Yeah,
be interesting.
well, you know, here running a Fed. One thing I didn't think about was placement of dates and scheduling around the holidays and uh, stuff of that nature. Um, but I got to get it out of the way because literally right behind that, CCPE versus the world. That super show or mini super show is still a thing, and we're gonna start putting the promotional stuff behind that, and that card's pretty much already booked. Um, which let me give you the I guess I can give you the concept of that real quick because I don't think I've talked about it on any other show. Um, CCPE versus the world is the it's literally a what it is, what it says. There's people from all over the spectrum taking on individual people from CCPE. I'm trying to find the doc. Give me a second. Let me entertain the people while I get my life together.
Yeah. So I don't know how many people out there are aware, but I am a Philadelphia Phillies fan. They are in the World Series. I think they have absolutely no
Oh
shot of
yeah!
winning,
Shout out
but
there! Shout out there!
you never know. I mean, they certainly went further than I thought they would. So at this point, they're kind of playing with house money, as they say. But it's certainly given me some excitement over the last few weeks, and it's been fun being able to sit down and watch some of the games with my kids, and certainly my oldest, who is old enough to understand the game a bit and get excited. So it's fun being able to share those moments with him. Um, but yeah, I'm excited. We'll
That's
see
like
how it goes. And we got the Eagles are 6-0, so that's cool too. Fuck you, Vinny Lane, and your New York Giants. Um, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
all right. I feel you. I get it. Enjoying this time as a Phillies fan with your kid because this will probably never happen again. It'll be like Tennessee beating
Yeah,
Alabama.
it's really probably not.
It's a first and last of a lifetime. Did you catch the Tennessee Alabama reference?
I did. That was a good. I mean, that was a great. I always enjoy watching Alabama lose.
I do too, and I'm from the state. It's a guilty pleasure. Uh, Going back to it, I got my shit together, got my life together over here. CCP versus the world, one night. The the booked card as of right now is Holden Ross versus Buster Gloves in a loser goes to town match. What is a loser goes to town match? Let me tell you, Theo. The loser has to go to a federation of the winner's choosing and tag team with them to get a tag title shot. How fucking interesting is that?
That is a really, really interesting idea. And is it any Fed, or is it the Fed that the winner is in currently? How does that work?
According to Mr. Gloves, the stipulation just is the loser will must go to the winner's choosing Fed and work as a team to get a shot at tag titles. However long that takes, I don't know. It is a very interesting concept. I don't know if it's going to be a Fed that Buster's attached to because the thing's attached to several, or if it's going to be something I don't know. It's an interesting step, and I like it. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I love it. And Buster is, among the many Feds he's in. XWF is one of them. And we're always looking for good tag teams, but I will leave it at there. I will let Buster pick wherever he wants to go if he wins, because I just think the concept in general is just pretty awesome.
Yep, he is definitely attached to my shit as well. So we'll see. He can. I don't care. I think the concept's great, I'm looking forward to seeing a team being born, even if it's just for a cup of coffee or if it's a long haul. Um,
Sure.
Elsewhere, I've got Xavier Lux and Shane Donovan hooking up. Joe Montori and Goth. Mac Bain and Larry Tact. I'm going to take on Rian Keto. Fred Debonair is going to take on Centurion. Mark Flynn and John Cable. Sebastian Bryce and Corey Black. Peter Vaughn, James Raven, one more time, one fall to a finish. A Splat Multiversal Championship is going to be on the line. But the big thing is the winners. So this is where the CCP versus the World concept comes in. The winners of CCPE will go on to meet the winners of the world in one big tag match. It can be, 4-on-3. It could be, whatever. Like, there's one team's obviously going to come in with an advantage. One team is going to have a disadvantage. Can that disadvantaged team rise to the occasion? And will the world shut up CCPE? And I'm looking forward to that one because that's got a personal dream match of mine that I'm gonna be able to cross off my bucket list. I told you a while back I've wanted to work with Keto since I saw him come back in, or saw this character come into the XWF, and I'll get my opportunity.
And who is hosting that show again?
I'm undecided where I'm gonna put this one. If I'm gonna put it on the XWF boards or if I'm gonna put it on my boards. It's gonna go on one of the boards. Um, and I don't necessarily know, and I'm looking too. Like I still got Thad and Sahar Duke to book. I'm looking for a tag match for that. I got to talk to them and make sure that they're still down to do it. But if that's the case, then that pretty much gets just about everybody on the CCPE roster minus one or two on the card. Um, and you talk about highlighting everybody in the in that's playing with me in that part of the game. Well, there you go. Let's knock it out. And there's a lot of tremendous talent involved in this on the other side of the coin. Larry Tact, I've had nothing but good experiences with his work. Fucking Goth, just kind of all over the place with X Dub and Sin City. Um, it's yeah. I mean, of course, Ryan Keto.
Yeah,
Like
God's a
that's
fun writer. He's kind of newer to the XWF, but I've enjoyed his stuff a lot. He has a lot of talent, and I can see why he's been successful in other places.
oh, no doubt, no doubt. So, that's on the horizons in January. So again, that's why so unfortunately, it was either doing it on the first or doing it on the second, brother. So the Rumble's on the second, and this one's going to be on the 22nd. Then that will lead into the DPI. I mean, it's one event after another, and I'm supposed to be doing quarter two Super Show, uh, but I'm waiting on some confirmation from a friend of mine. Uh, I may forego quarter two and turn it over to an individual who's wanted to do a show for a while and just hasn't pulled the trigger on it. Once I get the official confirmation, I'll make the announcement here. But it's going to be a big one if it happens.
Color me intrigued.
I'm telling you, when I found out about this, I went, "Oh, really? And why haven't you?" And I got the reason, and I said, "That's it." And they said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." Ultimately, it's down to scheduling. Like, if they were to put on an event, somebody had announced one, or it was going to be around the same time, and the last thing that they wanted to do is put a show together and nobody show up for it. And I was like, so just scheduling is it? And I was like, dude, you can take my slot, fucking quarter two. I'll help you. I'll write with you. I'll write matches. I'll do whatever I can do to help you. And I'm gonna keep it real, brother. That cannabis cup number one was challenge enough, and I don't know if I can underdo that or undertake that myself right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of work, like we said. And I think the one thing that some of these other folks that have run super shows have in common is that they were not running other feds. to my knowledge. They may be in other feds and actively competing, but it's a whole other ballgame when you're running a fed. So I think adding that WGWF element to it certainly would make it less appealing to want to run another super show on top of all that other stuff.
I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day, literally the other day, and was like, listen, uh, yeah, they came to me. They came to me because they were afraid of burnout. Thought I was gonna burn out. And I said I appreciate it, number one, but you're not telling me anything that I haven't already thought about. Right, and I realize now that I'm in the thick of things, and I, am doing story and creative for the WGWF, and trying to do some stuff in other places, that I'm spread too thin, as it is, um, and I feel terrible about it sometimes. Like, I'm involved in Sin City Wrestling, and I may have to pull out because I just can't do the weekly workload, or the it's 7,000 word cap for pay-per-views, and it's 2 role play limit, brother. I missed the first deadline. I was sick. I was in bed, and like, I sent a DM like, I'm sorry, like, I can't right now, and I'm not going to. Like, I'll get one up, and I can't guarantee it's gonna be fucking worth the toilet paper that you wipe your ass with. I don't know. Um, so yeah, it's real. But that's where I have to, figure out what's more important to me right now. Role playing full time over here, competitively with Chris Page, or having to balance that time out with creative for WGWF. I'm telling you, I got some things on the back burner that once they happen in the next couple of weeks, like, heads are gonna turn. It's gonna be, we got some good story.
Well, that's exciting, and I am excited and anxious to see it all.
I'm telling you, I told John Cable the other day, yesterday, or actually no, today, and Raven actually earlier today. I was a Raven first. I don't think I've legitimately been excited about the WGWF or the concept of the WGWF until I got confirmations from several players in the game that are wanting to come over and do this piece of an angle, this piece of a story. It's gonna be good shit. I think we'll see. It may fucking blow up in my face and do nothing, and make an ass out of me, and that's okay too, because we'll have a lot of fun doing it. It's just the story involved and the people involved in it is just they're top notch.
Like I said earlier, as long as you're having fun, that's all that matters.
Yeah, man. I think we've covered some shit today, even though we kind of walked into it, uh, off the cuff, and shooting from the hip, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered several different topics. And I think we covered a lot about each of those topics. Yeah, I mean, I think all in all, kind of walking into a blind, so to speak. I mean, we really didn't we didn't even talk about what we might talk about. We just said, all right, we're gonna do a podcast,
Well, yeah,
record, and go. It's like
uh,
it just kind of flowed, and I thought it flowed pretty well. I can't guarantee we're gonna do this every single time, but it's good to know that we can do it.
yeah. Well, let's peel the curtain back a little bit because, like I said, we've been trying to record. I think for like a week and a half, 2 weeks maybe. Uh, I sent over a subject. I was like, we can talk about this. Let's cover this piece of it because I think it would be awesome. Uh, and literally, we were gonna do something on Monday, and I was like, "No, I can't. I'm over. I'm tired. Like, I guess there's something going on." And we really set it up for today, and I couldn't. I totally fucking blanked on the topic that we were gonna cover, and I was like, "Fuck it, man. Let's just go. let's just." That's all you can do at this point. Let's just go, see what happens. We're not canceling this again or rescheduling it. There are people that are waiting for this program, mind you. Some people actually.
Well, to those three of you that listen, I appreciate it.
Hey, yeah, we like our listeners. We like our listen count to be up. Well, you got anything to say to the 3 people that do tune into this program before we close it out?
Tell your friends. Um, Thank you. We appreciate it. As always, we'd love to hear your feedback, the good, the bad, and the really, really fucking ugly.
Yeah, man, can't say it any better than that. Well, folks, that'll wrap it up for the Page and Price show. We'll try not to have you waiting so long for another episode, and we promise you that it may not be off the cuff, and we'll actually have subject matter to cover. We hope you enjoyed the program. I am Chris Page, and he's Theo Pryce. We'll talk to you again here soon.
Take it easy.
Thank you for being a friend.